Your mother told me you're a writer. Is that true? Well, I have such an idea for you. You have to hear this. It'll make for a great story. I had this idea the other day while I was working. So, there's a grocery clerk who gets abducted by aliens, and then he becomes a space explorer. So, what do you think? If you're a writer, and anyone else finds out, you assuredly will have been cornered at a party or a family get-together, or even received messages from randos online about how they have a bang-up idea for a book or a character or a whatever, and boy oh boy, you should hear about it. And then you hear it, and it's the most boring thing in the world. People think ideas are hard. Even worse, they think ideas are special. Ideas are cheap. They're a dime a dozen. I have stacks of ideas on note cards, on Post-its, on my computer. They are a plentiful fruit. Ideas are nothing without hard work, without development, without thought, without hours spending punching onto the page. An idea is nothing but a whim, a brief puff of wind that is there and then gone. So, how do you turn an idea into a story, into a novel? That's what this video is about. Let's start at the beginning. I write down all of my ideas. All of them. If anything that sparks in my mind for a moment and I go, hey, then I write it down. Currently, on my desk, I have 2 Post-it notes with ideas on them. One says gun cult. The other says science to talk to God? ? To Satan ? Don't know if I'll ever use either of them, but there they are. If you can do something with them, feel free. I have a lot of these. Some get transferred to a digital file or put on a 3x5 note card and put in a little idea box I keep. Between them all, I have dozens of them. Some of them are nothing more than a couple words, like the aforementioned gun cult. Others are more fully formed ideas. Some are in between, but I keep them all. Because I never know when I might use them, when they might become my next story. But how does it work? It's hard to explain, honestly, because it's never the same, but I can give you examples from my own work that illustrate the differences. My first novel, Conquest. It's a story about werewolves and wildfires in a small tourist town in the Pacific Northwest. A gang of werewolf bikers ride into town, a wildfire surrounds it, and a selection of townsfolk fight them off. Relatively simple, right? But it didn't start as that. There's a lot of disparate ideas all coming together. I had visited the Rockies in Alberta, Canada, and I was thinking about the small mountain town of Jasper that I stayed at. I was thinking about the Stephen King miniseries Storm of the Century, about an invading monster in a small town. I was thinking about Jaws, about a mayor facing a crisis and putting his head in the sand. I was thinking about what scared me, about unchecked masculinity, about what monster would represent that best. Werewolves. Only men. Small mountain town. Werewolves. That's not enough. What do all those small mountain towns have in common? Expansionism, colonialism, conquest. They were taken, they were settled, and that wasn't enough because there was always more land to take, more ground to cover. That unending hunger for conquest ties back to werewolves, who in my book are voracious, always hungry. We're almost there. Not quite. What else scares me? Wildfires. Unchecked. Fueled by climate change and harder to control. That final edition, everything clicked into place. A small town with small town drama. Voracious werewolves invading the town on July 4th weekend, time back to America, and a wildfire encroaching, threatening to burn them all down. It wasn't just one idea. It was multiple ideas, all coming together. Take away one ingredient, and the book isn't the same. Now, for contrast. My second novel, Truth. It's about a specter of truth haunting a conservative talking head until he uncovers a decades-old crime and punishes the politicians who committed it. This is simpler. There's a painting. It's called Truth Coming Out of Her Well to Shame Mankind. Here's the painting. Powerful. I love it still. But ever since I saw that painting, I could only think about how much work she'd have to do today. The proliferation of conspiracy theories and misinformation. And who was the face of that? Talking heads on the news. So I wrote a story where truth literally emerged and haunted a man who lied on television until he changed. Until he did the right thing and found the truth, no matter the cost. It started with inspiration from a painting and then turned into something more. I added a layer at a time until it felt like a whole story. Each of my novels has a different birth, each a confluence of thoughts in a variety of ways. Those two examples are very different from each other, and different from each other of my novels, but they all of them share one thing, and that is I developed each and every single one of them. The idea was never the end of the line. I worked hard, layered ideas until I thought I had a full story's worth, then I built on the top of that foundation. I outlined, wrote a first draft, revised that draft, and had a finished novel at the end. An idea is not an ending. An idea is only the beginning. My next video will be covering the next step, and that is outlining. I'll detail exactly how I outline and how you can use the same method to create a suspenseful novel. I'm Rob Dorman. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, click subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be seeing you.